Hello, everybody. This is Angelique Tang from Letlovecometoyou with one of our relationship experts, Elke Wollschon. And today we just wrapped up an interview about the very interesting topic, where is my happily ever after? How to get yourself out of the singles trap. Elke, tell our viewers what they can expect when they're going to listen to our interview. What is the singles trap?
Well, there's so many of them. What are traps? Traps is when you think you have to have something and you don't even know why. Traps can be if you have a belief that there are not good men out there, no good women out there, that love is not for you, that you're too old, too young, too fat, too thin, too large, too bald, too anything. All these can be traps, that keeps you actually from where you would like to be. So a trap is something that does not allow you to go to be where you would like to be.
Okay. And so can you tell us a little bit about why people then keep on hanging on to these traps? Why don't we just let them go? Especially when we're single and they are all wanting happily ever after.
Yeah. Yeah, it's so sad because actually we don't know better. What role models do we have? Where did we learn to let that go? In the first place, most of the people, they are not even aware that this is what happens to them. So that they're not aware that they put the reasons why they don't have what they want outside of themselves. So,
They blame. You mean they blame? Yeah.
Yeah. They feel like a victim,
Yes.
All this what I've just mentioned has nothing to do with themselves. It only has to do with there are no good men, no good women out there, or I have met the right one, so as if there are only wrong ones out there.
Yeah.
So it's all outside, right? It is not within you.
Okay.
So,
yeah. And I know that we also spoke at length about, why people then keep attracting the frogs instead of, directly going to the princess or the princesses. Can you tell us a little bit more about that again? Because I love that question because, of course, we would like that one answered.
Yeah. And I refer back to what I said in the interview also. I once heard a good metaphor. If you're looking for a millionaire, don't go to Holland. So if you are looking for a prince, you have to uplift yourself also to become a princess, or vice versa. If you're looking for a princess, why would a princess choose you? If you're a beggar, if you're, not shining, what is a prince to you? So, and how is it that, you're so far away from it?
Yeah.
So, how that it comes down to, okay, I have to become the prince, and I have to become the princess first,
Yeah.
And only then we can stop. Then we stop blaming, because then we take it back to us. And, and this is the power we have. That's the only power we have. We cannot change the outside world. But, have you noticed when you want to buy a car, and you look through some prospects and you thought, this kind of car, it's kind of nice and cute, but you never were aware of that car, and all of a sudden you see them everywhere driving.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's the same thing. So, if you have a different consciousness, if you have a different awareness, you will also be aware of different kind of men or different kind of women out there that would not have grabbed your attention before.
And sometimes you could even reappreciate the people around you that may have always been there, and maybe fall in love with somebody that you normally would have discounted, right? Because we also talked about some of the programming that we have, which is much more to do around biology and chemistry, and that a lot of people believe that chemistry is enough for relationship, whereas probably it isn't the only foundation. Yeah.
Yeah, I was also guilty of that. And it's interesting enough, when I asked my mother, that's what she answered, that she thought this is the most important thing for a relationship. And that's when I realized, wow, this is exactly what I did, I lived what her knowledge, and I did not acquire anything new. So that's when it changed, so to see how we can evolve and create something different. But we have to, again, become aware of it. I was not, until that moment when she said that, I was not actually aware that I followed her pattern, and it was probably given to her from her mother. Yeah, so that this is important.
Yeah.
And the only thing, so, as if nothing else matters. But, if you don't know how to treat the passion that you have, it will die.
Yeah.
Sooner or later, if you have no other awareness, if you have no other skills.
If you just leave it up to biology, it will
Yes.
die. So there are also ways to cultivate, growing that passion, or growing it through, ways of deepening your relationship with yourself, and also opening more up to the reality or the potential of your partner that is committed to you, or even to cultivate these awarenesses when you are in the dating scene, when you are not attached yet to somebody, not committed yet. Yeah.
Exactly. Yes.
Yeah. What are the most, Elke, what are the most common things that you hear people say when they are in the singles trap, so that they know, oh, actually that's me, I need to listen to this interview? I mean, especially the ones that are not even aware. What do you see them doing or saying?
What I see them doing is basically they don't do anything. They just remain in a frozen position and in a defensive mode. And, and they say, oh yeah, well, it's either I'm not good enough, or they find something faulty about themselves, why it cannot happen to them.
Yeah.
Or they give up altogether and say, you know what, I had it, I don't want to go through this anymore. I had enough heartbreak and heartache in my life. It doesn't seem it's for me.
Yeah. Yeah.
So, yeah. And I think I would like to address this to engage people that come from there, that I had it and it's not for me. Because they shut down such a big part of themselves. I'm not saying that they will get it, right? But they will what they definitely will get is a much deeper understanding about themselves and how did they show up in life.
Yeah.
So that they can learn to embrace themselves and see how they can, if they could create that, it's the same mechanism. And I can show them how they can use the same mechanism to create something different.
Yeah, yeah. What do you mean by mechanism?
Yeah, we follow strategies,
Okay,
we have different processes that we go through. Whatever decision we make, we have a process, and we're usually not aware of it because it goes in split seconds. So we can really find out exactly how that works, that whenever, to give a simple example, whenever you smell a burger, how come that you find automatically the way to buy one,
Yeah.
So what triggers that? So what triggers do you have? With the burgers, it's easy, you have the smell and stuff, but so we have triggers that we're not aware of, and we develop strategies to always end there, and once we know the strategy, we can actually take pieces out and replace that with a different step, and then you will get a different outcome.
Yeah. And so I know that a part of your program is about also finding the core wound, and I did ask you the question, does everybody have a core wound? Let's say maybe I'm born to just be single. Maybe I'm just one of these people that are much happier single. Would you say, no, there is a core wound there? Or is there always a core wound? What if I I'm just a total happy bachelorette or bachelor, and I'd rather, play it by ear, if you know what I mean. And let's not get too heavy on me right now. We're having fun right now. Why do we have to talk about commitment? Blah blah blah.
And there's nothing wrong with that, So if that's really what the person wants, this person will not join that relationship summit anyway. I think people will only join and listen to the interviews if they have a question. If something in the back of their mind comes and say, you know what, I don't know, I think I have to give it a look, and I want to see what they have to say. So people, they are totally fine with the way they are and the way they feel, and, they will not attend. So if you say, I'm better off alone, why would you join a relationship summit in the first place, right? So we will not find them, unfortunately. But if for some magical reason this person would still end up here, then I would say, this is exactly the trap. This is exactly the illusion that they have built for themselves, that they are better off. And I would like to encourage them to ask themselves the question, what made them to get to this place, Mm-hmm. And usually it is that they just have given up. Yeah. And then to still be in a position, what makes them feel good is actually to say, oh, I'm better off alone. But we are not designed to be alone on this planet, We are designed to live in communities, to be with people, and, because we need actually the other to experience ourselves, and you know that from your shadow work, right? Yeah. So we are always meeting our shadows outside of ourselves. Yes. So we cannot understand ourselves when we are with
when
ourselves.
We're on a mountaintop. On a mountaintop, it's easy, but you're not ever going to reach the depth of understanding of yourself. And it's almost like, I would say, relationship is a very important part of the human experience. You even see it with animals, right? I mean, it's a universal experience that we need others. It's just that sometimes through our experience, maybe, and a lot of them sometimes even starts with our parents, the modeling and the mirroring, and we go into that in depth, the modeling and mirroring from our parents, that we tend to inherit or just buy into certain belief systems about what relationships mean, and then we conduct, as you said, a certain identity which based on false conclusions. And so I think that is also one of the things that people will learn, that our past conditioning has a huge impact on our identity and what we identify with and how we live our life. And it is, there's absolutely nothing wrong with being single or being a bachelor until, till death do us part. But absolutely, if there is a yearning or maybe uncovered longing to actually get out of the singles trap, then there is a way out as well. I think in our interview it was also clear, Elke, that we need to we can actually do things quickly, meaning you were saying that a breakthrough is easier than you think. Can you explain that again? Why is a breakthrough easier than we think? Why isn't it going to take us years and years of therapy?
Because a breakthrough is something that just happens in an instant. This is why it is called a breakthrough and not a work-through. So it is something, it's a shift in our awareness, in our perception. It is something that opens up, as I said, it's like you always look out of the window and this is all you see, and you have no awareness of wherever is around you. And then all of a sudden you get catapulted, on the rooftop. And then you say, whoa. And this is what a breakthrough is. But then what comes after the breakthrough, because then you implement this sudden realization.
Insight, yeah.
Yeah, this
light
insight.
bulb.
Yeah, and this will never leave you. This is something that will, you know, will come into awareness more and more, and then you can see what changes you can make to create something new.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you can see also how this was created, what you had all the while, and with this breakthrough experience, you know then how to implement that and create something different.
Yeah. No, thank you so much, Elke. I think it was a very insightful interview, and it was actually a flashback to some of the periods of my singles traps that I actually constructed for myself, and also how, as a single person, you sometimes protect yourself. You protect yourself from possible disillusionment or being hurt again. And at the same time, there is also this almost fear of getting into relationship, but at the same time you want it because you don't really feel good about being alone. And so this interview is really for people who want to understand more of the unconscious dynamics that happen when they do not face, the things that are now showing up in their life as what they are perceiving as, where is my happily ever after. Yeah,
you put it wonderfully. Yes, exactly. So, and it is I'm also single, and I'm rather being happily single than in a miserable relationship, right? So but I want to make sure that I am happy no matter what, and I have a very satisfying and thriving life. And, if I have a relationship or if I don't, and if I have one, and then it is something that will open up different things for me that brings me even to higher heights, but not to lower lows. I don't need lower lows.
No, and when you say that, I really would say that there are two groups of singles who are in the singles trap. One of them is, I want to be a total bachelor and it's not for me, or it's just I just can't be bothered. The other group is the one that really wants to be in a relationship, like extremely, doing everything they can to be in a relationship. And I say that because you were talking about being happy with being a single and not being needy and not being too attached to actually being in a relationship. And so that is, I think, when you know that you're no longer in the singles trap, is to actually arrive at a point where you're totally content and fulfilled with your life, but you would love to share it with somebody else. An area in life, a position in life where you actually feel your cup is overflowing. You have filled up yourself, you know who you are, and it would be so wonderful if you would find this other person that also has all these amazing things to share, so that you can create synergy, rather than those two groups that may be more like, oh, I don't want a relationship because it's going to end up in horrible stuff, or the other group, which is, I really must be in a relationship because otherwise I feel empty and unloved.
Yeah, exactly. So the other one is supposed to fill a hole, and if you have a hole that needs to be filled, I'm sure you will end up with a relationship that will just do that. But it does not make you full. You can make only yourself full, and then you can come together with another full person.
Yeah. So your program will also look at those illusions where people think that a relationship will actually fill them up, because we also extensively talk about, when you are in a relationship, your core wound will still be triggered, and so the core wound as a programming really has a deep impact on your life experience, whether or not you are in a relationship or not. Yeah. So
even if you decide, that you would like to remain single, but the program is still good for you because it will bring awareness to all these parts that you have never touched upon, and so therefore you have much more freedom to really decide. If that's true for you, fine. There is nothing wrong with being single.
No, not at all.
Yeah, but you want to be a single because not because you are fed up and you lost hope and you're miserable and frustrated.
Or you're still telling the story of something that happened so many years ago and blaming. Yeah.
Yeah. So you want to be a liberated single, right?
Yeah. Yeah. I think a lot of people want to be there. They just might not have made that decision yet internally. Because I do know that a lot of people who are single, they either get into disillusionment and a bit of skepticism, or they become extremely needy. And they seem to vacillate between the two. Yeah, so this is a very important program for the world. And of course, there are so many books you can read, but it is actually about really doing the work. Really doing the work.
But either way, if you see it like, you will never get out of it. It's either this way or that way. But in order for you to change something, you have to step out of it. And
yes, transcend it. Yeah. No longer be run by the illusions or by the myths, the fairy tale myths that we are fed by the media industry. Yeah, they're called fairy tales for a reason. Yeah. Thank you so much, Elke. I had a good time listening to your insights, and I think I'm looking forward to when it airs and receiving all the responses from our listeners. Yes? Yeah.
Thank you so much for having me being part of it.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.